I'd like to call this meeting of the School District of West Allis-West Milwaukee et al. To order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Ustruck, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We now have a tribute to Sue Sujecki, who is leaving the board. Whereas the conclusion of public service of Sue Sujecki, Board of Education member, School District of West Allis-West Milwaukee et al. On Monday, April 23rd, 2018, will historically be recorded as being a total of 19 years of significant educational contributions to this school district. And whereas she has, with exceptional spirit, self-dedication, and a community-minded philosophy, contributed significantly to the development and enrichment of the educational and recreational programs of this school district, to the end that those who participated have grown in knowledge, skills, and enjoyment of living. And whereas during her tenure of service to the school district and community, she did provide strong leadership, guidance, and management skills to improve the instructional and recreational programs while filling the following vacancies as a school board member: 3 years as secretary, 2 years as board clerk, 1 year as vice president. As a committee chair, she was learning and technology and curriculum instruction for 6 years, committee chair of student services 3 years, legislative and community services / community relations 3 years, and a committee vice chair of learning and technology, curriculum and instructional services 4 years, business services 2 years, and personnel services 1 year. Sue also provided countless hours of research and effort in the constant improvement of the educational and recreational programs for this school district. Excuse me. And whereas her example of public commitment, unfailing energy, and intellectual curiosity has provided inspiration and admiration to all those lives that have been touched by association with her, and in particular to her many Board of Education colleagues and members of the educational profession. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the members of the Board of Education of the School District of West Allis-West Milwaukee et al., honor this woman for her notable contributions to the fields of public education and public recreation by her self-dedication to the principle of public service, her professional integrity, her personal interest in the education and recreational needs of the school district, and that this expression of our warm appreciation and affection be formally recorded and presented to Sue Sujecki. And be it further resolved that a copy of this testimonial be formally recorded in the official minutes of the Board of Education of the School District of West Allis-West Milwaukee et al., and signed by present officers and members of the Board of Education. Sue, if you'd come up.
Actually, I prepared it. Thank you. Thank you to the board. Thank you to Jeff. Thank you to the hard work of Suzette, Deidre, Beth, Mike, and Dr. Lexman. I'd like to share a few thoughts. I will always remember when I heard about our program, Reading to Dogs. Now, I thought that was about the dumbest thing I have ever heard. Read to dogs. But when I went to Jefferson Elementary School and I watched a little first grader reading to a great golden retriever with his big head on her lap, well, it was a moment I'll always remember. That little girl reading to a dog. It broke my heart. Saying that, when I heard about mindfulness, I thought it was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard about. You're going to achieve discipline by shaking a jar or tapping a music tuner. Again, I was wrong. I have to give credit to Dr. Luxman and Laura Sage. It does work, although I think I go back to the old count to 10 method. This message is just fancier. So my going away gift is a mindfulness jar.
No, that's going to help in budget season, thank you.
That was a mindfulness jar that was made by the Jefferson students. When I started 19 years ago, we had a thriving vocational program, many apprenticeships, job shadowing, and connections with the community and business. It seemed that we moved to more of a liberal arts curriculum, something many thought would give our students a taste of everything. In my mind, often ended with students having poor skills for what might come next. Seems the government feels the same way. We now have a strong testing program, or a skill set program, and surveyed students' interest with great career fairs, and again with Gwen, and you're going to have to help me pronounce Gwen's name.
Skoyan.
What?
Skoyan.
Skoyan. With Gwen Skoyan's help, we are growing our business connections and our vocational programs. And that looks like it might be the great new emphasis. I want you to know that it was Pat Curran who was a strong promoter of the vocational programs. And it's my hope that it will continue to be a focus along with College Ready. I am so very happy for Christine Klug and for Gary Schultz. I think they'll be just great. And I know it will be hard, but I think the board will do just fine without me. So happily, maybe even joyfully, I say to all of you good people that I've had the honor to work with and connect with and say, I believe that I made a contribution, especially in the area of U.S. history. I say that in good fun, but thank you. Thank you to all of you, and goodbye.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Sue. Good luck to you. At this time, I'd like to introduce our Mayor, Dan Devine, who will swear in our two new board members. Oh, that's right. Sorry, Steph. I figured you're on, you didn't have to do that. Excuse me.
Grandfathered in.
3.
Well, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
She did not leave yet. I just want to start by thanking Sue Sajecki for her years, not just on the board, but also with all she was involved in with the Women's Club and the city. And I hope that, well, this portion of your life is concluding. I hope that you'll stay involved and stay active and continue to be an active member of the community. So thank you for your years. You are very welcome. Thank you. We will go in what I guess will be alphabetical and by seniority, so we will start with Stephanie Evans. Yeah. I had to move mine up and move yours down. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Stephanie Emmons,
I, Stephanie Emmons,
having been elected to the office of West Allis-West Milwaukee School Board,
having been elected to the office of the West Allis-West Milwaukee School Board,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office
and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
All right, thank you very much.
Next, I will ask Christine Klug to come up. Congratulations. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Christine Klug,
I, Christine Klug,
having been elected to the office of West Allis-West Milwaukee School Board,
having been elected to the office of West Allis-West Milwaukee School Board,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office
and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. West Milwaukee's got a voice back on the board.
That's right.
Congratulations, Gary. You know the drill by now.
I hope so.
I, Gary Schultz,
I, Gary Schultz,
having been elected to the office of West Allis-West Milwaukee School Board,
having been elected to the office of West Allis-West Milwaukee School Board,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office
and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So congratulations to the new faces and to Stephanie on earning another term. And as always, I'm looking forward to continuing to work with you. We all know how having a very good, strong school district is essential when we're drawing families and businesses to this area. So I look forward to seeing this progress continue and the district continue to flourish, and I wish you all the best. I see a lot of you on a regular basis, but doors always open, and I mean that with all sincerity. It's not just lip service, so thank you very
Thank you, Mayor
much.
Devine.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you very much.
take care.
Suzette, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Klug?
Here.
Ms. Emmons?
Here.
Mr. Keller?
Here.
Mrs. Justum? Here. Mr. Ustra?
Here.
Mr. Schultz?
Here.
Mr. Lee?
Here.
Mr. Bailey?
Here.
President Sikich?
Present. Declaration of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the open meeting laws of the state of Wisconsin. Board members and Dr. Lexman, any modifications or changes to tonight's agenda?
I have no requests.
Seeing none, we'll move on to the public comments. There is one signed up right now, Jessica Huber. As you are approaching the mic, just a reminder, please try to limit your comments to 3 minutes. We do not provide any answers here, but at the next board meeting, our superintendent will make responses to any direct questions. And please give us your name and address for the record.
My name is Jessica Huber, and my address is 5525 West Roosevelt Drive in Milwaukee. I just want to start by referencing the current parent satisfaction survey that has been sent out to all the families in the district, because I have received 4 emails and 1 voicemail regarding that survey. I mention this because I really wish that level of input was requested back in 2015 and 2016 regarding the attendance area policies. This was a concern that was also addressed in many public comments to the board at that time. My family had no idea that open enrollment pathway changes were a possibility at that time. They were hardly mentioned in the steering committee meeting minutes that are posted online. The meeting minutes do show that it was brought up in a November 4th, 2015 meeting that the attendance area proposals did not address open enrollment students. As I searched through those same meeting minutes, the only other notable mention on open enrollment students was a wish to balance them out across the schools, and a lottery was later decided to be that solution. However, a lottery does not take into account certain things, like specialty curriculums like Project Lead the Way at Central High School, or relationships that students and families form across the district, or just even a continuity of the educational experience. On your district webpage, the link to the open enrollment pathway information goes to a dead page. That's probably a good thing at this moment, because if that info was readily available to parents, it might scare some potentially good families away from your district. Because when they found out that they would be subject to a lottery and just separated out evenly, in the case of my son, who the year the lottery was conducted in 2016, 35 went to Hale, 35 went to Central by a roll of the dice only. Change is really hard, and I know this attendance area policy was a hard change for the district, and it is definitely hard to get all aspects of this right the first time. Open enrollment students weren't addressed well in this policy. In fact, they're hardly addressed at all. I've been sent the policy numerous times, and open enrollment students are not even addressed in your attendance area policy. What I'm asking right now is for the board members to take another look, and Dr. Lexman as well, because it can be hard to admit when something just isn't working, but it does show real commitment and real leadership to do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's the only individual that did sign up to speak, but if anybody would like to approach the podium at this time and address the board, feel free. Seeing none, we'll move on to our agenda item number 8, the superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. So this evening, we'll start with 8.1, the report from our West Allis Central High School student representatives, and this is the last time they're going to be with us for the school year, because we're wrapping up already, right? We're getting ready for the end. This seems weird. But before you go, we have something to show appreciation for your service to the board. But first, share your report.
All right. So hello everyone, I'm Jose Lopez, for those of you that don't know me.
And I'm Alicia Delville, and for those of you who don't know us, we're seniors at West Allis Central.
We are here tonight to talk about all the fun and amazing things that have been happening at Central and some of the upcoming events that Central has to offer.
All right, so students from West Allis Central and from across all of the school district's secondary schools performed in their annual Solo Ensemble Festival on Saturday, March 24th. Students performed solos, duets, trios, and large group ensembles as members of the band, orchestra, and choir. The festival has over 500 events total, bringing in 14 professional music judges to listen to and critique participants. Students at Central performed well with 2 bronze medal events, 12 silver and 28 gold. 9 students are moving on to state solo ensemble in May. It was a great event for all.
On Tuesday, April 10th, volunteers from the League of Women Voters of Milwaukee County came to help students and staff members get registered to vote for the upcoming election. All seniors went to a homeroom presentation that stressed the importance of voting. Then, those who wanted to register came to the IMC. The volunteers walked our Bulldogs through the process, provided information on the next election, and signed them up to receive reminders to vote. Over 50 students took advantage of this opportunity. Students can also continue to come to the IMC to register. A special thanks to Mr. Rice for organizing this event for our students.
April is Autism Awareness Month, but here at Central, the staff and students are striving for autism acceptance. Throughout the month, students have been utilizing the video announcements to share some facts about autism by highlighting some famous and influential individuals who have or currently had autism. In addition, students and staff have shown support of this cause by buying pencils, pens, and bracelets. All proceeds will be donated to the Global Autism Project. You can also decorate a puzzle piece that will be a part of a mural hung up at Central. A shout out must be given to Kate Ansel for putting together the daily announcements and organizing the fundraiser.
The ID Department Autism Program and Speech Language staff held their 5th annual Parent Resources Night during parent-teachers conferences at Central on Thursday, April 12th. During that time, speakers from the community, including DVR, Milwaukee County, Independence First, Best Buddies, and others shared information about their respective agencies. This event allows families to gather the necessary information to help their children have a successful transition to adulthood.
Interact, along with Spanish, French, and German honor societies, collected hygiene products for the homeless throughout the last few weeks. On Monday, the teams got together and separated the items into bags. There will be more donated to the local homeless shelter.
Central Automotive students competed at WCTC this past week. Seniors Jack Dornick and Dane Quick took 5th place, while juniors Anaí Guerrero and Mateo Avila got 13th. Hale teams came in 9th and 14th in the Southeastern Wisconsin competition. Both teams also went on to compete at the Universal Technical Institute competition in Menasha on Saturday. After making it up there through the snow, our 2 teams secured 4th and 8th place. All the students won tools, in addition to each of them earning a $1,000 scholarship to UTI.
In honor of Earth Day, which is Sunday, April 22nd, Central Conservation Club decided to celebrate what they dubbed as Earth Week from Monday, April 16th through Friday, April 20th. The week was dedicated to learning about the ways in which we can alter our thinking and habits in order to conserve and protect our Earth. Conservation Club ran numerous events that included a locker painting contest, bake sale, Earth Day pledges, and a miracle minute, which reached $289.91. The money raised throughout the week will be used to sponsor a red panda in the Milwaukee County Zoo. Conservation Club also highlighted facts about our Earth and the need to protect it via the video announcements and a school cap lesson. In the incoming weeks, and once the weather warms up a bit, they will be conducting a school-wide cleanup.
On Tuesday, April 17th and Wednesday, April 18th, freshmen and sophomores completed the ACT Aspire test. This all-day test included assessments on math, reading, English, writing, and science. Though the test was long and exhausting, the students stayed focused and diligently worked to complete the exam. The ACT Aspire gave students a glimpse into what the real ACT would be like, when they have to take it as juniors. It made many of our Bulldogs realize the need to test prep before the ACT takes place in the upcoming years.
On Thursday, April 18th, students from Shared Journeys came to present to our freshman Bulldogs. The panel of both male and female moms and dads share stories about their struggles, successes, day-to-day experience as parents, and post-secondary plans. Their goal was to help our ninth graders understand that being a parent involves a lot of sacrifice, and that it is important to wait before having a child. This panel spoke about their experience and gave good and important advice to the audience. The presentation was extremely powerful. The freshmen were engaged the entire hour and even had further questions for the panel after listening to the session. A special thanks to Lisa Kola, Heidi Nelson, Tina Boyle-White, and the WAC Pack for organizing this annual event.
There are not any updates from the athletic director today. Over the last few weeks, the weather has caused numerous track meets, soccer, and softball games to be canceled. Hopefully, there will be some exciting sports news later.
Tomorrow, April 24th, Mr. Mente and Ms. Kralik will be taking 15 students to Madison, which include both of us, to compete in the two-day Skill USA state competition. The students will be competing in workforce-related events and their abilities to be judged based on technical standards.
Tomorrow, April 24th, the WAWM High School Student Services Team will be hosting College and Career Night from 6 o'clock to 7:30 in Central's cafeteria. At the event, families will have the opportunity to learn about apprenticeships, the benefits of listing in the armed services, applying for financial aid and scholarships, and how to prepare for the ACT and college academics.
On Thursday, April 26th, Students Against Destructive Decisions, SADD, will be running Impact Day, which is meant to remind students not to drink and drive in order to not get distracted. There will be a crashed vehicle outside of Central, and the SADD members will be wearing black t-shirts to represent the 36 individuals that die daily from drunk or distracted driving.
On Thursday, May 10th, Central will be hosting its annual Honors and Awards Night. This event gives the faculty an opportunity to highlight students that have gone above and beyond in their academics and service to the Central community.
Central's prom is taking place on Saturday, May 12th from 7 to 11 at the Peak Welcome Center in the Milwaukee County Zoo. This year's theme is an evening in the 1920s. The prom poses have taken Central by storm as students continue to prepare for the biggest dance of the year.
Our spring band concert will be taking place in Central's auditorium on Wednesday, May 16th at 7 p.m.
On Thursday, May 17th, 25 eighth graders from West Milwaukee Intermediate will be experiencing a day in the life of a high school student. They will be shadowing a Bulldog crew member and attending classes with them. The day will also incorporate lunch with Mr. Taylor and a question and answer session with all the Bulldog crew members.
As seniors, we are seeing how fast this year is going by. We are definitely looking forward to Honors and Awards Night, the senior picnic, graduation, and the rest of the opportunities that Central has in store for us as our school year comes to an end. And we just want to say thank you for an amazing year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions or comments by board members? Brian?
I have one. What was the date for the honors and awards night?
May 10th.
Thank you.
Jeff, I have just a comment.
Sure, Dan.
Thank you, Mr. Sikich. It was very enjoyable listening to both of you come in and talk about your schools and how excited you are for your schools and for your future. And I can tell you that looking at the two of you and listening to what you have to say and how you say it, good luck in your futures, and just an awesome job. Happy to see the smiles. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You guys are going around to the front. We have a little parting gift.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck.
All right, we're going to 8.2. I'm going to apologize in advance. I've managed to pick up a late winter cold somehow. I'm going to blame it on last week. You definitely got me today. But anyways, we'll go on to the board showcase this evening, and this evening it is world languages.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our two new school board members. So to give a little background to those of you that are new, when we shifted the administration staff here a few years ago to address some of the budget issues we were having and reduced quite a few positions within the district administrative staff, one of the things that we did was hired curricular leads for each of the curricular areas who do a lot of the curriculum development with teachers in the summer. When it's their year for curricular adoption, they work with teams of teachers to do some of that work, and then Adam and I just oversee that group. So Holly Skelton, who is a teacher at West Milwaukee Intermediate School, is the curricular lead for world language, and she's going to share with you tonight some updates from the department. Quite a few of the teachers are here this evening to support the department. And so Holly will share kind of some of what they've worked on this year in professional development, and then some of the updates as to what they're doing next.
Thanks, Deidre. So like Deidre said, my name is Holly Skelton. I teach at West Milwaukee. I teach Spanish there. I've been in the district 6 years, and I have to be totally honest, I can't see myself working anywhere else. So I really love our district. I love the way that we're going in our mission. So when I was given the opportunity to be curricular lead, I was so excited to be able to start getting my foot in that leadership door a little bit. But in general, I feel like one of the major strengths of our world language teachers in our department is that we really are a passionate bunch of people, and it usually works to our advantage. Sometimes we got to tone it down a little bit, but we really we really do love what we do, and we really do strive every day to make our curriculum fun and meaningful for our students, providing original content and authentic experience for them. And we're a really strong department, and I'm really proud to lead such an amazing group of teachers. So just to give you a little bit of background on our department, we have 21 staff members. We have 3 German, 5 French, and 13 Spanish teachers. Here tonight from the Spanish department, we had a couple changes, so I got a peek. We have Bridget Gaboy-Helfenstein and Jessica Santiago. They both teach Spanish at Hale. I have Heather Swenson and Emily Ripp, who teach Spanish at FLW. And just wanted to highlight also real quick that we have piloted the Heritage Speakers class at West Milwaukee Intermediate School. We have 2 full sections, and it's been really successful there, so I'll plug a little more about that later.
So that was a new course that we added as a pilot to West Milwaukee last year. That's a Spanish course for students who are native Spanish speakers, who don't tend to take Spanish, right, because it's a lot about tending to be about vocabulary and things like that, but it should help quite a few of those students develop their Spanish skills, and hopefully, again, as we put into the strategic plan, increasing the number of students who take AP courses or AP exams, that's actually a really nice opportunity for a native Spanish speaker to be able to take the AP exam through being able to develop some of their written and some of their more formal elements to the language through taking that course.
What she said.
And it will come forward next week for a course proposal to be added to the course catalog for the following year as a more permanent part of our offering. Okay, thanks.
For our French teachers today, I think I saw Ed here, Ed Loeffler. He teaches French at Central. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Kirsten Shellman. She's at West Milwaukee right now. She's a long-term building sub for us. She is actually German licensed, but she is teaching herself French to keep our program going at West. So she's currently running 2 sections of French at West Milwaukee to keep that program up and running for us. So she's been doing a fabulous job with that. I have Ashley Hafman here from FLW for the German program. And I also wanted to point out that next year at West Milwaukee, for the first time in 3 years, we have enough students signed up for our German program, enough to run 2 full sections of German. So. Global Cultures is really making a difference for us, and I'll talk about that too. So as far as curriculum updates go, this is kind of like the long-winded piece of information, so I apologize in advance because it's a lot of information in a little slide. But as far as our I Can statements go this year, I know I spoke about those in November at our showcase, but really we focus this year on honing our I Can statements in making sure they reflect the proficiency goals of our students, and they're based on the ACTFL standards, which are the international standards recognized by most universities worldwide. And they actually use these standards to confer degrees upon their students. So when I got my Spanish degree, I had to be at an advanced low proficiency level for reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So these standards are, they have longevity to them because they make that real world connection for our kids. Like they'll see them if they pursue a language all the way through their collegiate level. So I think making that connection for us has been really important. So we've been doing a lot of work around those this year. As far as global cultures go, this is our 3rd year of implementation with global cultures, and I think I speak for all of our intermediate teachers when I say that it really has allowed our students to feel connected to their decision to pursue a world language, especially because they really feel like they get a little taste of each language and they really are invested in their language choice. It really focuses on the high interest building blocks of history and culture, which is really essential background information to have for our kids when they start looking into the world languages program. So I am very grateful that you guys were able to work with us to get that program implemented, because I think it's really going to strengthen the world language program.
And so some background on that one as well. All 6th graders take global cultures. And so we used to have students choosing to take world languages right when they entered intermediate school. And it was switched to be global cultures at the start because students really didn't know what they were signing up for, and weren't always seeing the pathway all the way through when they were sort of randomly picking, oh, sure, I'd like to learn French or whatnot. So the idea was to strengthen the number of students who are seeing through to French 7 and German 7 and Spanish 7 at those really high levels. We needed to have students really making good choices about what language and being more purposeful around that. And some of that also attributes to the fact that we have, again, we'll have each year fewer students needing to take reading intervention, and foreign language is the course that they then take in place of that. So as they all take global cultures as 6th graders, they have better options going forward into the next years.
Thanks. As far as splitting our intermediate into 1A and 1B, I did a lot of math because I really wanted to outline for you how critical this has been for our program. It's all right, too, because I had a math teacher check it. What we were finding as a problem through our program is that when our kids started in level 4 as a freshman, is that really they weren't actually level 4 students because there was such a discrepancy in instructional face-to-face minutes between the intermediate school and the high school. So before 1A and 1B was implemented, students were receiving 6,786 minutes a year of world language instruction. In a high school classroom for the same level, students were receiving 8,874 minutes, which is a difference of 41 class periods per year. We were shortchanging our intermediate school students so much and trying to push them through the program, and it wasn't servicing them. So moving to the 1A, 1B model, they're actually receiving 13,572 instructional minutes of level 1 of a world language, which is almost an extra semester of time. And what that allows us to do is really spend that time solidifying those grammatical constructs, those linguistic nuances, and the study skills that they're going to need to be successful at the high school level, and hopefully making that transition from intermediate to high school a lot smoother. So the minutes have added up, and I think that this upcoming year with our kids starting in level 2 as freshmen, we're really going to see a difference in the rigor in our high school program. So that's something that we're really looking forward to as well.
And foreign language was one of the areas for which we wanted to be sure we had a policy to allow transcripted credits at the middle school, because those students who then meet the competency at the end of 1A and 1B will actually have a credit in their world language on their high school transcript. So that was important. As it was pointed out, it was on the course selection sheets last year, but we didn't have a policy that would have supported it, and now we do.
I know Deidre was speaking previously about level 6 and 7, but as our students roll through this Global Cultures 1A, 1B model, we're going to be phasing out level 6 and 7. And we spent an entire CAT meeting comparing our world language program to that of every other CISA 1 school. And what we found is that there was not a single CISA 1 school that offered level 6 or 7 as a world language. So that was a big red flag to us. Like, why are we offering these 6 and 7s when it's not commensurate with other schools in the southeastern Wisconsin area? So just to reiterate that this 1A, 1B model is going to be so critical for us to really support a more rigorous and more viable curriculum in the world language program. And it's really going to relieve an unnecessary burden on our scheduling, because what we're having right now, and I think the high school teachers can really speak to this, is a struggle when you get to those upper levels where you're splitting levels 5, 6, and 7 in one classroom, and you might have levels 4 and 5 in another classroom. How do you teach that? It gets really muddy. So as this rolls through as well, we're really going to be able to focus on individual courses and increasing the rigor and putting it at appropriate levels that line up with our ACTFL standards and our proficiency. So it all does kind of tie together in our long-term goals. So that covers that. Oh wait, sorry. We also wanted to address a little bit the options for our advanced students. We really want to work with the board and with the curriculum and instruction department to promote youth options for world language. This is going to be a critical college experience, especially when we start talking about the profile of a graduate and having that college experience for them. I don't know that AP is the right way to go for our world language department at this time, but we have to do something for these kids, especially our native speakers that are coming in at a little bit higher of a level, our kids that are transferring in from German and French immersion. We have to provide them with that rigorous curriculum. And just making sure that we're, like I said, that equitable, that challenge that they need. So Deidre already mentioned we have the course proposal all set to go for our Spanish for Heritage speakers. And I just wanted to say that I think it would be a culturally responsive and equitable move on the part of the district to serve our population and provide heritage speakers the opportunity for enrichment, as well as make them more competitive in college and beyond. So I really am asking you guys to consider looking further into that heritage speakers course and thinking about approving that for us. So that was my little plug for our heritage speakers. Our goal for the 2018-2019 school year is to increase our cross-curricular collaboration. World language is a natural pairing for all content areas, and we don't want to be seen as divided. We don't want to be seen as something that's isolated from the rest of the schools. There's so much that we can provide to support other areas of the school when you look at art and music and English, even like Phi-Ed and stuff. There's so much that we can do to work ourselves into all areas of the building, and we're going to be spending a lot of our CAT meetings next year talking about how can we support the mission of the district and the mission of our building and not just be like the world language department over here, because we can offer so much in supporting our colleagues. So there's a lot on here, a lot to digest and a lot of different ideas, but I'd be more than happy to share that out with the board so you guys can take some time to read that over. So that was kind of all the boring stuff. So when I was putting this together and I reached out to my department and I asked them to share out any ideas that they had or any things that they really wanted to show off, I was going to spend a lot more time talking about the I can statements and proficiency, but that's not really exciting, and I think it would serve us as a department better that you guys can see what our kids are doing and what they're capable of. So I just tried to organize the photos the best that I could. So the first section here is authentic learning in and out of the classroom. This is some French students from Hale. They were making, sorry French teachers if I say this wrong, bûche de Noël. Yes. Which is a Christmas cake that they did get to eat. These are some Spanish students, I believe, from Hale as well. They were retelling stories. So there's Jurassic Park, there was Chronicles of Narnia, and they also did a puppet show with the 3 little pigs. One thing we really try to promote in our department is that hands-on engagement with the curriculum. So a bunch of different, it was so hard for me to narrow it down, but learning body parts. There was also one of a boy with Marilyn Monroe. It was really funny. It was like a Marilyn Monroe cutout. But the kids made masks for Dia de los Muertos. In the picture on the upper right, that student is drawing like Frida Kahlo had to draw after her bus accident. Anyone know Frida Kahlo? Okay, they were really obsessed with Frida's bus accident. I don't know, kids are weird like that sometimes.
Well put.
We also focus a lot on collaborative learning as well. A lot of games, balanced instruction. The bottom left corner focuses on the writing and revision process. So again, trying to get that cross-curricular in about how you draft and how you organize and structure paragraphs and things like that. The bottom middle is talking about that growth mindset and how you can learn by making mistakes. So students are making corrections to their peers' work. And in the bottom right, they're working in groups to analyze sentence structure of a new grammar concept that they were learning. I also wanted to highlight the things that our department is doing in the community, which I think is such a critical piece, is to try to build that positive relationship with our stakeholders outside of our building. So this is a Spanish National Honor Society at the Dia de los Muertos parade in November. They all painted their faces. I just think this is fabulous. They had so much fun doing that. Here we talked about learning about culture through song. Some students went to the United Community Center off of, is that like 4th and National there, right by the freeway? They watched a performance of the Gregorio Uribe Band, and there was also a Puerto Rican rhythms band at Inspiration Studios, which is a real little place off of like
73rd.
Thank you. I thought it was like 70th over there. And also, the Florentine Opera Company came to visit West Milwaukee Intermediate and do a performance for the students. Learning about culture through dance, where the Spanish National Honor Society took salsa lessons at the Friday Salsa Social in Bayview. The bottom, we had the Mezclando Dance Company come to West Milwaukee Intermediate and run a workshop for the students, and we actually had them come back a second time for our Girls Excellence group. And then in the bottom right, those two pictures, we had performers from the Milwaukee Ballet teach a workshop to some of the intermediate students. This is one of my absolute favorite things that Bridget did with her students at Hale, and I think this is such a great example of how we can provide real-world context to the language with our students. So she had an opportunity through WAFLT, which is the Wisconsin Association of Foreign Language Teachers, where she could participate in a March Madness music bracket. So what she did,
it wasn't just me, it was Mr. Hernandez, it was Senora Santiago, it was Nancy Acevedo at Central, Rourke at Central, so lots of us did it. I was the one that brought the information to them because I'm a member, but everybody, there was like 6 different classrooms, 6 different teachers who promoted it.
there you have it. It was a big thing.
Yes, that's true too.
But basically what it entailed is a March Madness bracket, but with authentic songs. So the students watched the music videos, they listened, they filled in the lyrics, they talked about what it meant, they sang along. It ended up being a total of 17 new songs that the students worked on throughout the unit. They did lyrics and Zumba and singing, and it ended up being that there was over 22,000 students that participated in this activity, not only in the U.S., but in the world. So some of the things that students learned in this authentic context, the numbers 0 to 25,000, percents, statistics, and they were able to vote online for their favorite songs and compare their brackets to other ones. They also had class competitions, and I heard it got pretty intense. But again, the things kids go crazy about sometimes is it's kind of funny. And then they also integrated the themes from the songs into other writing and speaking activities as well. So one of the themes from the songs was I toast to, yo brindo. So then they all created their I toast to posters, and they had like a big wall display that they made from it, which I thought was really cool. So that was one of my favorite things that I saw come out of this. So it ended up being that over 80% of the kids downloaded at least one of these songs, and a lot of kids actually made their own Spotify playlist. So Bridget informed me that this was one of the greatest activities that she has ever done in her 27 years in the district, to see culture firsthand, and she's not going anywhere, folks. So I'm sad that I didn't know about it sooner, because I totally would, I'm hunting it down next year, and I'm totally doing this next year, because it's such a great way to get the kids involved in something that ties into, I mean, how many of our kids are obsessed with basketball? So to tie it into March Madness plus music, it was like a gold mine activity. It was amazing. Ashley Haveman took her German students to the Christkindlmarkt. Oh, close enough. They went in Chicago, and they toured the Christmas market in Chicago for the day, so they had a great time with that. We also had some guest speakers in the district to bring in firsthand cultural experiences and allowing the kids to make comparisons with their culture and others. And we also had the privilege of taking some of our students from West to speak to a Holocaust survivor, which was really powerful for them. So that was a really great experience for our students. And we also are really privileged as a district to allow our students to explore culture abroad. Last year, our department took a trip to Guatemala and Belize. This year, they are going to Ecuador. Next year, sorry. Next year, we're going to Ecuador. We also have a Hale student, Megan Kraft. She is going to be a Rotary Youth Exchange student next year in Spain. So Profe was really excited about that, too. Santiago today brought a student with her, Rabia Babwari, and she just wanted to speak very briefly on her experiences as a student in our world language department. So if you don't mind, I'm going to let her step on up.
Hi, my name is Rabia Babwari, as she introduced me. I am a senior at Nathan Hale. I'm in my 7th year of Spanish. And I am really thankful for the World Language Department. I think it is a great opportunity that not many kids have in their school districts, and for your school district to be able to give it to us, I'm extremely grateful for that and for the wonderful teachers that we have. I am in Spanish National Honor Society. I've also completed over 15 hours of community service in the Hispanic community. And I just feel like with that in my high school years, I can take much more into my future when I go into college and in our diverse society as it is. So for me to have an immense impact on I can already see myself impacting kids that are native speakers, or even in stores and stuff for people who can't communicate as well, and for them to come ask oh, do you speak Spanish? Can you help me out? And for us to be able to do that for them. And for me to proudly say yeah, I started in West Allis-West Milwaukee in my school, Nathan Hale, and in FLW, and I can just be able to help people out through this wonderful department. It just gives me a great honor. So I thank you guys for that. I thank you guys for that. And if you guys have any questions, I'm here to answer.
Questions?
No. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. Thank you.
Any questions for Holly around the world language department? No, you've got to have one.
I have no questions.
What's your favorite color?
I just have comments that it's wonderful to see this happening as a board member, and I just appreciate your enthusiasm, all of you, to see what's going on. I think you're starting, I mean, when I took a foreign language, it was kind of, excuse me, but it was kind of, yeah, okay, boring. But what I'm seeing now and hearing now, it's like sports. It's, let's go in there and do what we need to do and have fun with it. So I appreciate that, I really do. Thank you.
Steph?
So we mentioned how, the 5, 6, 7 is not serving the needs of our students. And I mean, that was me back in high school too. There was 9 of us in 3 different groups all combined together. And it doesn't work, right? And it doesn't prepare you for, 104 or 204, whatever you're gonna take. So what is the aim then, if we're gonna get them through 4, to be ready for when they get there? Is there the opportunity that they're going to get to, if they decide to go college for language, that they can test through the 101s, 102s, and they can still kind of be ready at a 5? Or is it that they're going to still have to go into a 101 level when they get to college based on where we think that's what I'm trying to where we think they're going to be?
Our program, through a rigorous level 5, our students should be able to test into 103.
Okay.
Which would be
Third semester.
Yeah. It would be like the sophomore level. If a student was starting in college with no Spanish experience, they would take 101, 102 their freshman year, 103, 104 sophomore year. So
Great.
we would ideally be able to get them 6 retro credits.
Okay.
Go ahead. I did, but go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that in the past, in the current past, we always have students. It really honestly depends on what they put in throughout their levels. Because we have students who've gone through level 4, we have students who've gone through level 6, level 7, and everybody's different. But we've had students who've gotten 4 retro credits, 8 retro credits, 16 retro credits.
Sure.
Not as many get 16, and if they get 16, they're tested into a junior level. And that's a fact. Like the kids who are the valedictorians, the top 10 kids, those kids very well can test in and get a 12 or 16 retro credits out of a UW school.
Sure.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. I'm glad with the changes that you've made at the intermediate level with the 1A and the 1B. I've had kids that have kind of gone through that previously, and you could definitely tell there was a little bit of a gap and a lot of catching up to do. And I think we're setting the kids up for success a little bit better now as they move from intermediate to high school. So thank you for that change.
Thank you.
No?
I did have a question. I knew it. So you mentioned about the advanced students and needing to do something for the advanced students. So you said maybe AP wasn't the route that you wanted to go. Do we have options that we can have them taking like college credit if they are that advanced, but we don't have the 6-7 class anymore, that we could float them that way until we get something maybe more set up for within the district now as a new plan moving forward, or what is options?
We would like to look really strongly into the youth options program. Start college now?
Yep.
There it is. I didn't realize they had changed the name.
Just recently.
But we feel that, especially with our French and German students, there's so few coming in from the immersion schools. It's a handful here and there, that to go through the investment in AP probably wouldn't be the wisest choice of dollars, because we do have to think about the funding for the program as well and what's realistic in terms of that. But being able to provide that handful of students every couple years to say, okay, these 2 students we really feel strongly could be successful at the Start College Now program, and being able to provide that as an option for them.
Yeah, it is an option. Once you exhaust all of the high school core content areas and curricular areas, there are options to start taking courses at, especially they've expanded it more to the UW system. It used to just be the more focused around the technical colleges, but they've focused it now more on the UW system, and so as students would have progressed through those, then there are abilities to apply to take college courses sooner. Start College Now, the shift from youth options to Start College Now was really to open up more of those opportunities to students in their time in a public high school.
I would also add too that by doing this, our hope is that the rigor will improve also.
Yeah.
Heather, you had your hand?
Yeah, I just want to say I have the privilege of knowing several of you, and my children had you as teachers, and I know what a fantastic job you have. And what I echo what Brian said is that, Catherine went in and we went to 4, and I was like, whoa, what did we just do to her? So we knew, having Miss Swenson, that we put Cora into 3. So now you're setting them up to have that path, and I'm so glad. And I like that you're talking about connecting with the other core curricular areas and working together, because I think it's really important to have that collaboration.
And I think it's really going to put a huge, it's going to make our program more valuable, because there really is so much that we can offer to all of the different content areas, and I really think it's underutilized. And we're going to talk next year about a lot of strategies that we can do to really start collaborating with those other departments across the district. Deidre and Marty and I actually talked about that in our listening session a little bit today, so we're really looking forward to that being an opportunity for us.
Any other questions or comments?
I just would like to add one thing. First, I want to thank you for providing the opportunities for international travel. I think it is a powerful learning tool and experience. But what I really appreciate is, on our end, what we see is the paperwork, right? So we get the paperwork, the board has to approve the paperwork. Here we got to see the results with some pictures. And that's, I think, really rewarding for us, is that it turns into something concrete for kids. So I appreciate that.
It was so hard to limit what we wanted to show you guys. I could have sat here for 2 hours and showed you everything.
Marty, I don't know if any of the board members are interested. I know that Bill Ustrip, former student, so I have a personal relationship with him. He is one of my Facebook friends, but if any of you want, so he gets to see this stuff. He already saw all these pictures that we showed. But if any of you want to be a part of we have like a Facebook group when we travel that is for the parents and the family members and a few students who like wish they could have gone but couldn't, so that they can virtually experience the trip. We'd be happy. Just let me know, and I'll make sure that when we set up our group that you guys are also a part of it, so that you could, travel along with us on our journey.
Thank you.
That's awesome, thank you.
Before I step away, I just also wanted to invite everybody on the board to our Dia de Cultura. It's May 18th, and it's going to be held at Nathan Hale High School in the evening. And I have some flyers for you as well if you'd like to take one. Our staff has put a lot of time and energy into planning this event and making sure that it showcases a lot of really neat things. So we'd love to see you guys there. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so
Thank
much.
you very much, all of you.
I just want to say thank you for bringing the food. It was really good.
Yeah, anytime. Hope you enjoy it.
If you want to go to any intermediate school on Friday around lunchtime, they serve like this every week.
Take seconds, please, because nobody wants to take any of that home.
Yeah, we'll take care of it.
All right, that was great. We'll go on to 8.3, the legislative update. So you have the full text. I'll just highlight a few things. What's happening right now is not necessarily new legislation. This is now taking the most recent budget and creating scope statements that are statements of scope that start to define exactly how what's been passed as law is going to be implemented. And so there's a number of things here. So first, related to changes in PI 15. This is in Act 59 is the budget. It rescinded regulations that allow school boards to adopt a resolution to use a revenue limit exemption for energy efficiency. So that opportunity that the board here adopted, before this opportunity was ended, it's interesting that the governor took the opportunity. It was supposed to be a one-year moratorium, and because the governor in the state of Wisconsin has line item veto, changed the 2018 to 3018. So yeah, that's basically over. But our project, and we'll get more updates from this from Steve Rohde and that team, but as I'm in and around schools where all the new lighting is going in, it's being very well received. The first reaction though, the first reaction when the lights get turned on for the first time and teachers see it, they hate it because it's really bright and it's different, right? It's different than what they're used to. But then when they discover that they actually have controls and they can dim and light different parts of the room at different times, then they love it. So it ends up working out that way. Relating to aid for school mental health programs, so the scope statement addresses how the department's going to develop rules to administer the new categorical aid or grant. And so we're preparing our request for some of those funds to support expanding our mental health programs in schools. Next one, the statement of scope 3718 relating to restoring part-time open enrollment. So 2 budget cycles ago, that was eliminated, now it's back. So they're going to put the old rules back into place from what I understand. Then we just talked about this, related to the early college credit program and changes to PI 40 as a result of the budget, Act 59. So it eliminates, like Deidre talked about, youth options program, and it creates this new early college credit program. And that's in effect for 18-19. So for Spanish, for world languages, for other courses, we're looking to take advantage of that for kids that are ready to move on. Then relating to changes to rules governing the Milwaukee Parental Choice Program, and there's a related item down below SS 4218. And this is really some administrative code that requires, sorry, that was the wrong one, SS 4118, that conforms to the rules to best practices and efficiencies in programs. So some new accountability is essentially what it's alluding to for voucher schools. Then relating to technical changes for tribal revitalization grants, and this one was interesting to me, and I frankly wasn't even aware we did this in the state. But in 2009, Act 28 implemented the opportunity to provide effective instruction in one or more American Indian languages. And since then, 2017, Wisconsin Act 59 added Head Start programs to be eligible for the Tribal Language Revitalization Grants, which I think is an awesome opportunity for kids and families. And then some changes related to rules governing the Special Needs Scholarship Program, and we've mentioned this a number of times, so that they're just bringing kind of rules in line with the legislation. A couple other items, the Blue Ribbon Commission on School Funding, they held a hearing in Oshkosh that was today. So I think as those hearings wrap up, we'll start to see some reporting out of that, those conversations. Then Glenn Regberg is the acting director for the Office of School Safety. He will be joining the SWSA meeting, Southeastern Wisconsin School Alliance, on May 8th. And for our new board members, SWSA is a membership organization that we belong to, along with most of the districts in southeastern Wisconsin. It essentially serves as our organizing and lobbying arm for policy that we want to see promoted or even opposed at times in Madison. And so I regularly attend those meetings and also sit on the executive committee for the SWSA. It's really an organization that is superintendents and board members. So if it fits in your schedules and there's items that you think are of interest, you're always welcome to come and attend. And then on April 13th, the state Supreme Court agreed to revisit one of the decisions from just 2 years ago to determine how much power Wisconsin's school superintendent actually has under the Constitution. I think it's interesting because I think you're aware that Tony Evers has launched a campaign for governor that, we'll see which Democrat actually comes out of the pool, but will be opposing Scott Walker potentially, even in the run-up to who the nominee will be. And then some congratulatory resolutions. Again, congratulations to students from Central and Nathan Hale who recently competed in the Waukesha Technical College's automotive competition. Jose mentioned the Central students, so I'll add the Nathan Hale students. So it's Zachary Hintz, Dakota Schneider, Mason Grawl, and Cole Krupski. The Nathan Hale team finished in 9th place, the Central team in 14th place in the Southeastern Wisconsin competition. Both Central teams also qualified to compete at the Universal Technical Institute competition in Menasha, right? That was held on Saturday. And again, right, we did a fun story about, they're making it through the snowstorm and securing 4th and 8th places. So students have access to scholarships, tools, which is a great thing. And then lastly, State Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Tony Evers, proclaimed the week of May 7th to 11th as School Nutrition Employees Week in Wisconsin. And the proclamation is included on the back of the certificates of recognition page. But I just want to do a personal kind of shout out, gratitude for all the folks that Sodexo or our folks that work in school nutrition every day. They're not our highest paid employees, but they're vitally important to an awful lot of kids and families. And even as we expand, breakfast in the schools and breakfast in classrooms, and I see kind of the organizing. I was in Pershing real early one morning, and they had stations all set up for the way kids flow into the building, and they can grab and get to a classroom. So they're counting on it. And so I just really appreciate the employees that get up really early to take care of that for us and for our kids. So just a thank you to them. And then just a couple updates. I'm on 8.5. There were no public comments from April 9th, our last regular meeting. It was mentioned that Deidre and I had a listening session today. We were at West Milwaukee, so those are continuing. That's really focused on the deeper learning plan. I also continue with my observations of principals facilitating staff meetings as part of, it's kind of like a classroom walkthrough that a principal does with a teacher, only I'm sitting in when principals are working with staff, and I was at Walker this morning, and I'll be at Central tomorrow morning. There'll be some new course proposals. Deidre mentioned this for the 1920 school year. You'll be sent that background information shortly, but there's some new, I think, innovative and exciting proposals for the board to consider. We'll schedule a workshop so that we have a little more time to talk through those before we bring them for action. Then we're working on some, what I'm calling internal alignment, and it's alignment to both organizationally, so the structure of the organization and the strategic plan and the structure of how the board works. And so had some conversations last week with Jeff and Stephanie during our regular meeting preparing for, preparing the agenda. And so one of the ideas, and we'll spend a little more time talking about this as we get a little closer, but one of the ideas is to align board committees to the 4 building blocks of the strategic plan. right? So essentially, with the same kind of committees that are covered now, but we get kind of internal alignment with language and with effort. And so, essentially, the Curriculum Instruction Student Services Committees would be joined into the College and Career Readiness Committee, right? And there'll be one on finance and operations, right? That's an obvious one. We have one on employees, right? The employee engagement survey and all that, so employee engagement. And then there's one on community stakeholders and culture. Now, it means we need to do a little bit of realigning inside the strategic plan because we've got attendance and behavior goals under stakeholder and culture. That needs to go under college or career ready. Right, so we want to do a little bit of work inside the strategic plan to get some tighter alignment and then align up to the board. And then also down through the organization as we insert more now specific language around deeper learning into the plan. And it's really, I think, really smart work by Deidre and Chris Miller to reposition academic deans as deeper learning coaches. So it's a new job description we're working on so that we get really interesting alignment in both language and activity through the organization. So there'll be more about that coming. Another little update, the Rec Center, Recreation and Community Services Center project is moving forward. So this is the kind of adding on, remodeling on, it could be some building onto the 68th Street property. We do have a press release ready to go to try to explain this to the community. And it's going to be important for the board to help carry the message that, you know, this is going to be a new amenity for the community. It comes at no increase to the tax levy at all. And we're able to do this all with current funds in Fund 80 because Fund 80 and Recreation, and this is a shout out to Shelley and her team, have been very careful with setting money aside year to year to year to year to make this dream come true. And so, but it's still going to be very confusing to people that, you know, here we've gone through all these cuts and taxes went way up and now you're spending $5 million on a new building. So we're going to do our best to communicate it, but we need all of you to help with that as well because this is a cool opportunity for us, and again, no impact to the levy. The money's in the bank. We're ready to go. Now it's just launching the formal process according to board policy. We have to go out to a formal bid process, and that has to be posted in the paper for a certain amount of time, and that's when it will start to get attention. And then we are in progress with the hiring at Irving for the principal, at Mann for the principal, and the HR position. So we've been doing some of the interviews for Irving, and we have the position out there for Mann, and we've got all the dates scheduled for the first round interviews for Mann and for the HR position. And the pools are looking good. I think we're hoping to see more activity around Mann. The HR position, for a number of days there, I was watching going, ooh, we have teachers applying to become the HR director, not our teachers, but teachers from other places. And I'm like, ooh, that is not the skill set we're trying to bring in for an HR director. But that's changed. That pool has changed quite a bit recently. So Deidre and I were just talking, and we're like, okay, I think maybe we have a pool we can start to bring in. And that completes the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Questions or comments for Dr. Lexman? Seeing none, we'll move on to the board calendar, president's report. Just want to point out that because next month, the fourth Monday is Memorial Day, we will have our meetings the 1st and 3rd. So on Monday, May 7th at 6 o'clock, we'll have a regular Board of Education meeting followed by the Business Services Workshop, updates on capital improvement projects and Act 32. On Monday, May 14th, that will be a workshop evening, Student Services Workshop, Restorative Practices, and the YRBS Panorama Update, and the SCTG Update Community Impact Project. Again, that's a workshop, and that's at 6 o'clock. And Monday, May 21st, that's our regular Board of Education meeting. Just a reminder that our regular Board of Education meetings are televised starting at 6 o'clock. The workshops are not televised, but they are open to the public. And the only community thing I have is this Friday at the Knights of Columbus on 92nd Street. Monogram has their scholarship dance. Anyone else have community events to share? Heather?
This Saturday is Central Orama from 8 to 2, where the craft and rummage and vendors all come and sell their wonderful stuff and love concessions and silent auction. And then this weekend is also the West Allis Players School of Rock, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Anyone else? Steph?
At Frank Lloyd Wright this Friday as well, we are having a dance to benefit the community closet, which impacts families across our community. We're also doing a public drive in order to gain additional supplies for that, canned goods, personal care items, school supplies, things like that. So people can drop off at FLW from 7 to 9 on Friday evening, because we'll be staffed for the dance. And if you wanted to come help chaperone the dance as well, you're welcome to. It'll be lots of fun. But we'd love to have some additional supplies come out from the community. We look forward to seeing people out there.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. 10.1, the approval of minutes from April 9th, the regular Board of Education meeting, and April 16th, the special meeting that we had. 10.2, the employment summary and supplemental contracts, and 10.3, the financial statement. Any board members need any of those separated out? Okay, we can take those as a group. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Any last minute comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That passes. We'll move on to number 11, our action items. We have 6 of them. 11.1, the designation of Southwest Now as the paper to publish our board minutes. Dr. Lex.
Thank you. So, again, for new board members, there's a number of annual items that school boards are required to approve in the state of Wisconsin. So there's kind of a list here of some of those items. The first one is we have to designate a paper where we publish board minutes, another kind of official activity of the board. And so we're recommending Southwest Now as the paper to publish board minutes.
Questions? Motion approved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Move on to 11.2, the authority for administrators to issue final non-renewal notices to teachers. Mr. Weaver.
So this is a request to then issue the non-renewal notices to those teachers that have now received a preliminary notice of non-renew. These staff members are mostly for fiscal. There are some performance non-renews as well.
Can you give us the first time we talked about this preliminary notice, just the numbers?
Yeah, so the first time around when we came in, we had 10 fiscal non-renews. We are down to 6 fiscal non-renews. Those 6 individuals did receive a preliminary notice. We will hold off on the final notice until we can, as long as we can. But there is state statute that they have to be delivered within, or by May 15th.
This is not budget cuts. This is simply adjusting to enrollment.
Mm-hmm. Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Last minute questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That passes. 11.3, the school district financial depositories. Mr. Weaver.
So this one is for all the financial institutions in which we work for. They could be district institutions, they could be school institutions, rec institutions. Some of them we are not currently using, however, we keep them on there in case there's a better rate at some point in time that we may want to use them for.
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That passes. We will move on to 11.4, the release of the 2/18/19 purchase orders. Mr. Weaver.
It's me again. This one, we're not going to do anything at this very point in time. It is a formality. At some point in time, we are going to need to begin purchasing things for the 18-19 school year. That could be supplies, that could be larger items when we talk about the capital improvement projects next week. So it's just prepping ourselves for the next school year. Obviously, the sooner we can get some of those things in, we'll get up onto the schedule of things to occur, as well as get the best deals moving forward.
Yeah, and for new board members, again, these kind of items, it's always a little odd, the way school district budgets and finance and funding works, is that we're asking you to, give us authority to start spending money that you haven't actually approved the budget yet. But that's just how it works, because, our new fiscal year starts July 1, and we have to continue operations to get ready for the new school year, but you won't approve the final budget until October.
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That passes. We'll move on to 11.5, the 2/18/19 delegation of leasing authority. Mr. Weaver and Dr. Lexman.
So I'll start, again, it's an annual item that comes before the board that would delegate leasing authority to the administration. So if there's property that we think is of interest to somebody and we want to enter into a lease, it's generating revenue over at Parkway, even though we've learned some tough lessons leasing to Season 1. In the end, it has worked out really well for us. And there's been absolutely not a single concern, and still knocking wood for this school year, but that is generating revenue for us that is very helpful. We want to continue to look for those opportunities if they present themselves.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That passes. We'll move on to the last item, action item, 11.6, the resolution regarding the sale of district property. This one I'll turn over to Mr. Gates.
I've been working with the lawyers on this one. So we are moving forward with the sale of this building. There are still some benchmarks that are in place that we have to meet, one of which is the following resolution that is in front of you. The authorization will authorize the execution of the deed described in the purchase contract that will convey title to the properties to Cobalt Partners LLC and identifies the persons that are authorized to sign the deed. Those two individuals would be myself and/or Marty. So at this time, we are just asking for that resolution to be approved so that we can work with the title company and the lawyers to continue the progress of the sale.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Questions?
I actually do have a question.
No.
So, this seems like step 174 of 256-ish steps that seem to have to go through for this. And I know that there was an update that you provided with kind of a timeline for where we're looking at this, and end of May is where we're shooting for right now.
May 20.
Now, what happens if that doesn't happen? I saw some language in there that they either have to do it by the end of April or they don't do it, but then the end of May was still available as an option to do that for. So that was a little confusing to me, because the contract said they had to do it by the end of April, but they still have to until the end of May.
So they have till April, all right, here we go. That's what I can do to get through the legal language. So they have till April 30th to waive their contingencies. Their contingencies were based on financing, the lease, I'm trying to think of the other contingencies. Zoning.
Right, some of them work with the city.
Yep. And most of those have been met. Our contingency on the sale was the lease as well. They, again, have until April 30th to waive those contingencies and/or terminate the deal. If they do neither by April 30th, then the closing date would be May 20th. I'm working with the lawyers as we speak on the lease agreement to make sure that that is in good standing with us.
So what happens if it doesn't happen on May 20th? Does that mean it's done?
If nothing happens by the end of April 30th, the building, as far as I understand, is sold. It would go sale, or we would be sold by May 20th.
Okay.
If anything were to happen between now and April 30th, which we're not thinking will happen, but anything can happen at this point, if something were to happen, obviously we'll be in contact with lawyers to figure out our next steps.
Okay.
Right now, the big piece is the lease, and that's what we're working on currently.
Okay.
I just have a question. Is there a right of first refusal written into this agreement, just in case?
I'm assuming there is. I can look. I don't.
So a right of first refusal
if we don't, because we've accepted the offer.
Well, just in case something happens, something falls through, and Cobalt decides they're gonna purchase the building, but now they're not gonna do the project, that we would have the right of first refusal to purchase the building back, should we want to. It's just,
I do not know if that's
I don't know if that's in there. I don't believe it is. I think trying to introduce
it
something
may or
like.
may not be necessary, I just think it's a good thing to have.
No, it's an interesting concept if it's not in there, but I think it would be unlikely that we'd be able to add it at this point. We're under contract.
Right,
Oh,
we've
I see.
agreed.
Oh, okay, then the other thing that I wanted to ask or inquire about is the signing of these two documents, because they have to be separate, yes? A sale and a lease agreement, right?
Correct.
Are they going to be signed like simultaneously? Like, I would rather see both of you attend, where one is signing the selling agreement and one is signing the leasing agreement. Right?
This will be a first for me at least, but we have the lawyers involved for this exact reason, because we want to make sure, but you're talking about separating the duties, so one signing the sale, one.
I don't think they can be combined. A sales
Correct.
agreement and a lease agreement.
Right, correct.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. And also, there was one other thing that I wanted to do. Oh, should we deny the right of first refusal and say Cobalt puts the building up for sale? We want to be sure that that lease agreement that we iron out is also part of what the new seller or the new owner of the building would have to adopt.
So the way I understand this is that it would be automatic that they'd have to honor the lease or make arrangements to buy us out. It's similar to the DVR lease on the second floor, because we currently hold that lease. But Cobalt, as the new owner, has to honor that or buy them out.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's say that Cobalt takes ownership of the building, but decides to not go through the project. They put the building up for sale. There's a new owner now who will adopt the leasing agreement then.
Right,
Great.
that's the way I understand it. Yep.
Those are my questions.
Motion approved?
Motion?
I think we went through that, yeah, motion.
Oh, we're on
Yeah, we did.
discussion. My bad. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That passes. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
We're getting there.
Moving on to number 12, board member suggestions for future agenda items. Anyone have any?
Just my same ones from before still, so.
All right, seeing as there are none, we will take a 5-minute recess while Brian takes down the cameras, and then we will reconvene. We are at recess.